So I want to welcome you all to the first Microsoft Dynamics CRM training session of 2016. Happy New Year to you all, and glad you could join us. My name, Angelina Jacobs. I am a CRM consultant with CRM Dynamics. I also have Shona with me today, who will be monitoring any questions you might have throughout the presentation. Having said that, though, we will leave some time at the end to go over any further questions. Also, if you have any technical issues throughout the presentation, we will be posting this video on our website later, so you'll be able to catch it there as well. And that's on the crmdynamics.ca. And then if you go to our Learning Center, that's where we post all these training videos for future reference. So today's webinar is all about the basics. So we're going to just be covering the fundamentals of CRM. I'm going to navigate through the system as well as discuss any common terminology within Dynamics CRM. I'll also touch upon the different ways you can access your CRM. And one of the key reasons of doing this is because a lot of times people will refer to the same things but using different words, and then you get some confusion going. So this will help, one, within your organization, or when you're talking to IT, or when you're talking to other CRM consultants, or when they're telling you things, that you understand what they're referencing. So it's a good way to just get your basic foundation of the terminology within CRM. Now for today, I will be in the newest CRM 2016. I also have a 2015 instance up as well, as there are some slight differences. For the most part, terminology will be the same, the concepts are the same. If you do have older versions though, maybe not all the functionality that I mentioned is in there. So that's one thing to keep in mind, but at least the basic terminology is the same throughout all versions. So starting off, you'll see here I'm on my landing page, or my home page as we'll reference it. And this is a dashboard that I've set personally to be the first thing that comes up when I log into my CRM. So you'll see here I have some nice charts. I've got some grids here that show activities. And the reason this is a home page is because every user can set their own home page. And what this is, in 2016, it means whenever I click up here, where it says Microsoft Dynamics, you also have the option to have your company logo here as well. It means whenever I click this, it goes and loads my home page and my default dashboard that I've set. In 2015, you'll see it's relatively similar. The home page is actually this little home, nice little icon here, and it's the same thing. So when you log into your CRM, it's your home page that shows up first. And the way that you can set this within these types of instances is with your personal options. And this is found in the right corner where the gearbox is. So when you open that, you have options. And here's where you can set some of your personal options of your system. So you'll see here that I've set my default pane to be sales and then the tab to be dashboards. I can set this to other things as well within my sales. You can also set things like records that show up per page. The default is 50. You can go up to a maximum of 250 and so forth. So if you ever want to play around in your options, here's where you would do it. And again, that's just this top gearbox. And I believe that should be in 2013 and later. Earlier, I'm not sure it's the same here. 2015, exact same gearbox here in the top right. So dashboards, most of you are probably aware what these are, but just as a recap, they pretty much are like a dashboard in your car. So it's just a live snapshot of what's happening at the moment within your company. And it's very customizable. So whatever key performance indicators you want to have or any grids that you want to have available when you first sign in your CRM, this is where you can make it. And you can make system-wide dashboards as well as personal ones that are not shared with any others. So there are those two options. Okay, moving on, we're just going to go up here to the top. You'll see in 2016 the menu has changed. So see, when I click on sales, I get a drop down. And what it's showing me here are what we call entities. So whenever someone's referring to an entity, it's simply just a module, or think of it like a database table. So it's comprising a key grouping of data. So accounts is an entity, your contacts is an entity, leads, opportunities, and so forth. So I'm going to go into accounts. And I'll show you in 2015, slightly different menu. If I click down, you'll see it's this drop down, and these are the entities here. You can see companies, contacts, and you do have to either scroll with your mouse, and that automatically scrolls this bar, or you click on the arrows on the side. So that is one of the nicer things with the newer version of CRM, is it's a very nice drop down. So I'm in accounts. When I click open to an entity, what I'm seeing here is called a view. And a view is simply like how you would see your database table set up, with columns here and rows here. And you can customize views both system-wide as well as create personal views. So what I'm seeing here is just all active accounts, and I've only chosen these columns to show, but I can choose as many as I want to put in this view, so long as I have that data available in my system. So within the views are records. So you can think of a record like a row in your table. So it houses all this different data. So you'll see here I've got the account, main phone, and so forth. Now what it's doing though is what I'm seeing here is the fields. So account name is what you refer to as a field. So it's simply just where you can put one piece of data. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a record. So I can double click, and it's going to bring me to what we refer to as the form. So a form is really just the interface where users can interact with the CRM and their data. And these can be completely customizable as well. So you'll see here we just have some basic fields on the form. So I have account name as a field, phone, fax, website, address, and so forth. You'll also see I have this section here where it says post activities notes. And this is just, think of it like a subgrid of other records showing up that are related to this specific account. So you'll see here I have activities, could be tasks, could be phone calls that are related to this account, the A datum. You can also see here we've added on a primary contact field, which means this is a contact record that is linked to this record. And you'll see here by the blue that these are links. So what happens is if I click on this, it's going to open up the contact record for this person. So again, this is a different form, a contact form, that's housing contact fields or data. So again, you have a name, job title, email, and so forth. Again, you'll see here, same thing that we've added to this form is an activities grid, and it just shows any related activities to this specific contact. Another nice thing in the newer CRMs is what we call a multi-entity search, and that's this top bar up here. And what it does is it searches, pretty self-explanatory, multiple entities. So let's say I put something in here for Fabricam. What it's going to do is it's going to show me any related records of Fabricam. So you can see I have an account, there's a contact who obviously works there, and then it looks like I have a lead. So this is a great way to search throughout your whole CRM if you're not quite sure if it's an account or if you're looking for an opportunity. Great way to do it is just using this multi-entity search. Now, one of the restrictions on this is you have to set how many or which entities to search for, and I believe it's only a max of 10 that you can include in here. So it doesn't, I guess, search your entire CRM, but it'll search within at least 10, or at maximum, sorry, 10 entities. And again, the entities that I'm referring to are things like accounts, contacts, leads, opportunities. You might also have some custom entities that you've added into your system, and you can include those as well. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my accounts entity, and there's this other way to search as well, and you'll see here it's going to search the records within only accounts. So this is just kind of a quick find. Another option you have within your CRM is called Advanced Find, and you'll see it's this little icon up here. Looks about the same in 2015. This little Advanced Find. And what it does is it's like creating your own query to find the data that you want to find. So I click that open and I get this. And you'll see what it's doing by default is it's replicating the view that I've been in. So see active accounts up here. It's saying look in accounts, and it's using the saved view. And you can see here the query is where the record equals active. So very basic query, but you can create new ones. So advanced find, I could say where status equals active, but I could also choose where, let's say, the province equals Ontario. So what I'm doing is just an advanced find. You can view your results, and then the nice thing too is you can export this data to Excel if you want to manipulate it further. So again, to recap, this is just the advanced find. Another way users will use this is when they're creating personal views. So I'm going to just click off this for a second, and I'm going to go back to the accounts view. If you see this drop down, I have different system views, and what this means is they're available to all users within CRM so long as I've set the visibility to their security role. But I also have this create personal view, so I can create my own view just for myself. And you'll see it opens up a similar window as when I opened up the advanced find. Again, you would do the same steps, create your own query in terms of the data you want to see, and then you would just have to save, and you can give it a name. So that's the difference between a personal view, it's just for that specific user who's created it, but a system view would show up here and be available to all users. And usually those are set by system administrators or system customizers. So you do have to have a specific security role in order to do this within your CRM. Now, another thing I'm going to cover is what we call a business process flow or process bar. And a lot of times you'll find this within the leads or opportunities entities. And all it is it's this bar that allows, for the most part, sales teams to go through a specific process in order to reach an end. And the nice thing is that you can customize this to however your company is run, as well as the fields that are either mandatory or not that they have to complete in order to move through the sales process, or in this case, the opportunity sales process. So you can see here in this example, we only have 4 stages, is what they're called. We have qualify, develop, propose, and close. And you can see here that a user has completed most of these, and then they've moved on to the next stage. So they've completed these 2 stages, and you can see where this flag is on the proposed stage. It means they're in this stage right now. The one thing to note within this process bar is you'll see this red asterisk beside present proposal. This means that this field is required to be filled in, so completed, in order for the user to move on to the next stage. So not everything has to be filled in, but if there are certain key criteria that your company needs to have done before you can close this opportunity, you can set that when you're customizing or building your process bar. So I would actually have to mark this complete in order to move to the next stage. And you'll see it says I've now completed it, and there's some other fields that I could fill in to close this opportunity. So this is just what we refer to as a business process flow, or you'll hear process bar. The nice thing too with these is you can have more than one. So let's say you have certain types of accounts or different types of sales processes that different users follow. You have that option to have more than one process bar available to the user so they can select the proper one to go through. The other add-on you can have with these is what we call workflows, and that adds a lot of automation into your system. So you can workflows actually are quite nice to use throughout your whole system, but especially when you want certain things to happen automatically. So a workflow that I could have is, let's say once this present proposal equals complete, I could have the system then send a notification to a certain user saying, this has been completed, please review. So that's a very basic workflow, but they can work within process bars as well as outside of them. Another area to cover within CRM is what we refer to as activities. Now, a lot of the times, customer service or sales reps, they'll be within their activities quite a lot. And these include all the tasks that they would have to do on a daily, monthly, yearly basis. So it can be anything from an actual to-do task, an email, an appointment, a phone call, letter, and so forth. And the reason that a lot of organizations will have their users do this is it creates visibility in terms of, okay, we have touched on certain accounts, we've had appointments, we've called certain people and completed them. So it's a great way to not only track what users are doing, not just in a management standpoint, but the user themselves, but also just great visibility in terms of how your organization is working and what your users are doing with their accounts. So I'll open up just a test one here. It's a phone call just to confirm availability, let's say for a appointment that I'm wanting to book with John Doe. You can put notes in here. And then once I've actually completed this phone call, I can mark it complete. And the reason of doing that too is sometimes you might want to set up future phone calls so that when you look a month ahead, you know, okay, within the next 30 days, I have to make 100 phone calls. So you can actually create this phone call activity ahead of time. And then when you actually get to it and call this person, put in your notes, and then you can mark it complete. And then we know, okay, I have called them, and you can always review any notes or conversation that you had with them. The nice thing too, as I mentioned, is those are linked to a specific contact. You can also link to an account or other record. So the visibility is there as well. So if we went to my contacts entity, I'm going to look for John Doe. Oops. Nope, I didn't spell that right, sorry. You'll see here I looked for John Doe, and I actually only had a lead record associated with him. So that's actually a nice thing with the multi-entity search is, let's say he wasn't an actual business contact yet, I haven't done business with him, it'll still search the lead, and then that's how I can find him. And you'll see here my activity showed up, I had a call with him, so great visibility here. And this is nice too when you assign out leads. So let's say I'm going on vacation or I'm no longer handling this person. I can also assign this out to, let's say, another user or sales member on my team. He can then see this and know that, oh, okay, so on this date, Angelina did call him. So maybe I'll wait a couple days and do a follow-up. So it's very nice visibility here. And last but not least, I will cover just a bit of customization. I won't be doing any, but at least for those that have a more system customization or administration role. Again, I'm looking up here, sales, service, marketing, settings is where a lot of that resides. And you'll see here, I have many options available to me. Now, not all users will be able to see this, and that's usually because you have certain security restrictions. I myself as a system admin can see all this. And if I go into administration, customization, I can create solutions. But for now, I'm just going to go into customizations. So users who have the ability, or sorry, the access to do this, this is where you'd be able to customize your system. For those that don't, you'll be able to at least see that what happens when you request certain changes or things be added to your system. So when you customize the system, what happens is you have this other window pop up, and it's going to show you everything within your CRM. So you'll see here I have a list of entities that I can expand. So for this example, I'm just going to go again into accounts. And you do have to have some patience when loading these things because it is trying to load a lot within the system. You'll see here in 2016, as well as the newest roll-up, I believe, of 2015, you can set color themes for your entities, which is kind of nice, especially when people like to color code their system to replicate their company logo, let's say. So a great way to do it here. You can also set visibility for certain entities of where they show up, as well as this is where you would enable auditing for this entity. And that's just great in terms of knowing what changes have been made and by who. So you do have to turn this on, and then you can turn it on for certain fields within the entity. Again, you'll see I have options for Outlook and mobile, which we will discuss quite soon. But just in terms of customizations, you'll see here on the left side I have forms. This shows me the forms available. And again, remember, forms are simply just the interface where users can interact with the data. Now, just because certain fields don't show up on a form does not mean that the data is not in the system. So you can see here when I open up just my basic account form, you can see the layout here. But you can see all these fields are actually within my CRM and could possibly contain data. However, I'm just not showing them on the form for users. And this could be for several reasons. One, it might not be pertinent information that users have to see every day. You could have different forms as well available to users. So one form might be very basic and only show general information, but you might create a new form, maybe only available to those with a management role, and you might have include many more fields on that form. But great way, it's a lot of drag and drop. You can also move these fields around with your mouse if I wanted to. I'm not going to save any changes here, but I'll just exit out of that. You'll also see here, this is where you can create system views. So again, system views, you have to have a system customizer or system administration role usually, unless they've allowed or given that permission to other security roles. And then before I get out of this, I'll just show you there's also this fields. And this will show me all the fields available, but I can also create new fields. So if there's new data that you want to be capturing on accounts, this is where you could add in a new field and then add it to a form and then have that available for users to fill in within the CRM. So it is a very basic overview of where customizations of the system happen, but at least you know where this resides. And if you can't see it, it is again because you don't have the security access and for seeing this customization section. So these, you might go into this section and not see these options. So lastly, I do want to touch upon the ways that you can access CRM. So you'll see here, even just for this demo, I accessed it just within a web browser. Internet Explorer, you can use the new Edge, Chrome, or Safari. Other ways you can access it though is what we call the Outlook client. So what that is it is a separate download you do have to download from Microsoft. And when you do that, if you don't already have it, you have to make sure that you're downloading the correct Outlook client for the version of CRM that you have. So you can see here, there's one for the new Dynamics CRM 2016, but let's say you have CRM 2015, 13, 2011, you have to make sure that you're downloading the correct client for it. Also, make sure that you're downloading the correct version, so there's 64-bit, 34-bit. So you might want to check your Outlook version and then make sure that you're downloading the correct file. And this is an easy search. You can go to the Microsoft Center, or if you just want to, in the search bar, type in Dynamics CRM Outlook Client, you'll find a bunch of links that way. And it all looks similar to this. The other way to access is by mobile. So there are some mobile apps for CRM. The newest one I'm going to show you here. And this works with the 2016 as well as the most recent roll-up of 2015. This is a new CRM mobile app. And you'll see here, these are just examples of what the screens look like. So this would be one screen, this could be another. So just showing you the mobile example of how you can see things. Very nice too, you can see a lot of charts, which is an improvement from the last app. So it's very user-friendly, aesthetically pleasing as well. The other app, if you have an older version of CRM, I'll go back here, is they've now changed it to Dynamics CRM for Phones Express. So it's still a mobile app. It allows you to access your CRM. It doesn't have quite the same view as what I just showed you, but still a great way to access your CRM. Other ways you can access it too is just through your mobile browser. So I do believe BlackBerry is the one phone that doesn't have a supported app, but you can use the BlackBerry mobile browser. As for Windows phones, iPhones, and Android devices, you should be able to find these within the specific stores, or app stores, sorry. All right, that pretty well concludes our training session for today. I will leave some time open now for questions. Just give me a few minutes and I'll review. If you haven't, but you have some questions, please type them into the question box now. I'd appreciate it. I'm also going to leave my contact details up here. Feel free to email me at any time if you have any questions or specific issues you might want some feedback on. My email is up here. You can take that down and just send me an email. Also, as a reminder, we will be posting this training on our Learning Academy site, which is just on the crmdynamics.ca website and Learning Center. That's where we have a great bunch of videos on other training if you want to check those out. For next month, third Thursday of every month, February will just be basic customization. So I'll go a little bit deeper into some of the things I was showing you today, but show you how we can customize them, change them, edit, and so forth. Okay, I did have a question about whether there's a webinar on reports within Dynamics CRM. That is something that we will be covering a couple months from now, I do believe. Otherwise, in the meantime, if you want to just do some searches on it or contact us, we can certainly help you with that because there are different means of doing reports within CRM. As far as the mobile app, someone asked if it can stay logged in on the iPhone. You should usually have this, depending what app you're using, usually it does allow you to save your sign-in. So anytime you open the app, it should be opening your CRM. If you're using a browser, a mobile browser, it's a different story. It usually will log you out after some time. But if you want, send me an email just in terms of what issue you're having when you're using the mobile app and just let me know what CRM version you're using. because for the most part, if you're on a mobile app, it should keep whatever you set up when you first entered into the app, it should keep that and your login. Now, someone asked about searching activities, if you can search for quotes or opportunities. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, if you want to just clarify, because when you're in activities, you're really just searching for the phone call or email or appointments you've done. Usually, if you're trying to search for quotes or opportunities, you can do that within a multi-entity search like I showed you, or within the entities themselves. So you can go into opportunities and search stuff. And if you've added onto the form visibility of those activities, you will be able to see anything related. Now, if you're in an activity and it was regarding a specific quote or opportunity, you should see that link as well, so long as the user has created it. So they would have to say, this phone call was regarding this opportunity, then yes, you'd be able to see it that way. Now, someone asked how to find out the version of Dynamics. For anyone that wants to know, I'll show you here. It should just be in the About section. Sorry, I have to move my screen. So I went into the gearbox up here. I just went to About, and you'll see here it tells me I have an update of 7.1.1. So I have the recent, or this version here is the most recent roll-up of that. I'll show you my other one here. I'm in the basic 2015. I do the same thing. I go into my gear or opt settings, About, and you'll see here it just says CRM 2015 and 7.0.1. Someone asked about the Outlook client working with on-premise. Now, for those, it depends how you're set up for your on-premise connection. So the basic answer is yes, as well as when you're hosting. So CRM Dynamics, we actually host our clients as well, but they can also use the Outlook client, and the reason being is we have an ADFS setup. You can search that if you'd like. It's a more complex IT to understand, but that is one of the reasons why you don't just have to be, let's say, Microsoft hosted. You can have third-party hosters as well as be on-premise and still use the Outlook client, but it does depend on the connectivity setup that has happened. For the most part, if you are hosted, so you're in the cloud somehow, you should be able to use it no problem. On-premise is slightly different, just depending how it was set up. Now, someone asked also about if there's a way to have the notes fields show up in a weekly activity report. It depends where those reside. So a basic answer is yes. You then just have to create the filter for whatever type of report you're creating, where it grabs those notes. So yes, you can have that. You would have to actually run that report though weekly. It's not an automated activity. But yes, you could create a report that also grabs the notes for whatever you're trying to report on. So if it's accounts, if it's the opportunities, yes, the basic answer is you can include the notes so long as you make that part of your query or part of the columns that you add within, when you're creating your report. Now, I do hope I did answer most of the questions here, but again, if you didn't hear an answer, just take down my information right here, send me a quick email, would be very happy to help. Again, I just want to say thank you all for coming, and I hope to see many of you next month.